Ever catch yourself, like, in a park or something, and you just wonder, what if everything went sideways?
Oh, absolutely. Like a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah. Except instead of Keanu Reeves, we're stuck dealing with the fallout. And that's what today's deep dive is all about.
Buckle up, folks.
We're talking about After America, a fictional show, granted, but the premise is enough to make you sweat a little.
Well, it's fiction rooted in some pretty real anxieties, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the pilot script alone.
Intense. It throws you right into this slow motion collapse of the U.S. Think like empty supermarkets, banks shutting down.
Gas lines, unemployment through the roof. That slow burn. That's what makes it so unsettling. Because you can almost picture it happening.
Right. It's not some sudden apocalypse. It's a gradual unraveling. And that's maybe even scarier. And just when you think it can't get worse, boom, assassination.
President Bennett, taken out at some big economic summit. It's like right out of the history books.
Totally. You immediately think Lincoln, JFK, those moments where everything shifts.
Exactly. And the country is left reeling. Who steps up? What happens next?
Well, in this case, it's David Ramirez, the VP, who suddenly finds himself in the hot seat. Young, kind of untested, talk about trial by fire.
It's a classic accidental presidency scenario, and the pilot script does a great job of capturing that weight, that burden of leadership thrust upon someone who never expected it.
Oh, totally. And the decisions he's got to make, forget about it. The economy's tanking, social unrest is exploding.
And to make matters worse, he's got General Yates breathing down his neck.
Oh man, General Yates. This guy is straight out of central casting for hardliner military leader. Every scene with him, you can practically hear the metals clinking.
Well, he represents that classic tension between civilian leadership and the military, especially during a crisis. He sees politicians as weak, indecisive, and in his mind, Ramirez is no different.
Yeah, and you can cut the tension with a knife in their first meeting. Yates is all, we need to show strength, project power, and Ramirez is trying to hold this fractured government together with duct tape and hope.
It really highlights that impossible dilemma. Do you stick to your ideals when everything's falling apart? Or do you become the very thing you're fighting against to survive? Tough questions, man.
No easy answers in this world.
Yeah.
And just when you think the pressure cooker can't get any hotter, we're introduced to Thomas Finch.
Ah, yes, the ambitious Speaker of the House. Now, there's a guy who knows how to play the game.
Master manipulator. And when Bennett's assassination leaves a power vacuum, Finch sees his opportunity. Next thing you know, he's VP, whispering in Ramirez's ear, but you just know he's got his own agenda.
Oh, absolutely. Finch is the epitome of someone who thrives on chaos. He's got that shark-like instinct to sniff out weakness and exploit it. And unfortunately for Ramirez, he's swimming in a pool of vulnerability at this point.
It's brutal. And meanwhile, Yates, he's got a plan of his own brewing. And it's not pretty. A military coup right here on U.S. soil. It's crazy to even say out loud.
It's one of those things you just never think could actually happen. But the way the script lays it out, it's like chillingly plausible.
It really gets under your skin. Like they don't just roll in with tanks, right? It's all shadows and whispers, these little moves that add up to something terrifying.
They've thought of everything. Infiltrating the Secret Service, planting agents within the White House. It's like watching a spider web being spun, and you know something's going to get caught in it.
It's giving me serious House of Cards vibes, but with way higher stakes.
Oh, absolutely. And what's interesting is that the show's creators hint at this shadowy figure, the unknown man, pulling the strings. It makes you wonder who's really in control, who benefits from all this chaos.
Right. Like, is Yates just a pawn in a bigger game? Man, the layers of intrigue in this thing.
It definitely keeps you guessing. But while all this high-level political maneuvering is going down, the script doesn't lose sight of the human cost.
Yeah, it's not all political chess matches. We see families being torn apart, regular people caught in the crossfire, just trying to survive.
Like the Dobbs family, for example. We talked about Raymond Dobbs, the Secret Service agent who gets caught up in this whole conspiracy.
Oh man, poor Dobbs. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He's racked with guilt, knows he's a loose end, and he's desperate to protect his family.
That scene where they catch up to him at that gas station, man, intense.
Brutal. A stark reminder that even in a world gone mad, there's still love, loyalty, and the desperate need to protect those closest to you.
It's heartbreaking, but through it all, Ramirez, he's still trying to hold on to the presidency to keep the country from completely imploding.
He's walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
On one hand, he's got Finch whispering in his ear, pushing his own agenda. On the other hand, he's got the economy circling the drain.
And then there's Yates, always lurking in the background, just waiting for Ramirez to slip up.
The tension is palpable. You can feel Ramirez being squeezed from all sides. And in a desperate attempt to regain control, he starts making some really tough calls.
Like nationalizing industries, bypassing Congress, stuff that would make even a seasoned politician sweat.
He's in uncharted territory. Does he stick to his principles, even if it means losing everything? Or does he compromise, become the very thing he's fighting against, just to stay afloat?
And as all this is happening, the rest of the world is watching like, what the hell is going on over there?
Right. The dollar plummets, alliances crumble, and you get this sense that the global power balance is shifting right before our eyes. The world is holding its breath, waiting to see what will rise from the ashes of America.
It's total chaos. Banks are shutting down, the stock market crashes, people are scared, and they've got every right to be.
And it's in that moment, that utter collapse, that Ramirez realizes he's lost. He's been clinging to this idea of America, but the foundation is crumbled beneath him.
It's like the rug's been pulled out from under everyone's feet. And just when you think things can't possibly get any worse, Yates makes his move.
The coup de grace.
They storm the White House, take everyone hostage, cabinet members, staff, even the First Lady. It's a complete takeover.
And what's chilling is how easily it all falls apart. The security protocols, the chain of command, it all just dissolves in the face of such a bold, well-coordinated attack.
It makes you realize how fragile these systems really are.
Absolutely. And Yates, he justifies it all by saying he's saving America from itself. He believes that the politicians have failed and that only the military can restore order.
The classic line, "You were weak, so I had to take over."
Exactly. He's convinced he's the hero, which makes him even more dangerous. But just when all hope seems lost, a glimmer of resistance emerges.
Nick Davis, right. Secret Service, loyal to Ramirez to the end.
The one guy who sees what's happening and refuses to stand by. He fights his way through the chaos, takes out a few of Yates's men, a real one-man army.
And manages to get Ramirez and Anna out of the White House with just minutes to spare.
It's a close call, a truly cinematic escape. But it's not a victory, not even close. They may have gotten away, but now they're fugitives, hunted by the most powerful military in the world.
And the country they're fighting for, the America they once knew, it's gone.
Fractured. Some states are under martial law, others are struggling to rebuild, forming uneasy alliances with whoever they can. It's a whole new world, and not a pretty one.
So what now? Where do they even go from here? What happens to hope when the very idea of a nation is shattered?
That's the million-dollar question.
You know, it's weird. We talk about America falling right, but after America, it's not some outside force that brings it down.
No, not really. It's more like...
It's like this rot, you know, spreading from the inside out.
Yeah, I get that. It's like the immune system attacking itself.
Exactly. And the thing that's really breaking down, that's really being attacked, it's trust.
Oh, absolutely. Trust in the system, trust in each other.
If you can't trust your neighbor, your government, what do you have left?
Right. And after America really captures that feeling, you know, like the ground is constantly shifting beneath you.
Totally. You mentioned that feeling earlier, that it's eerily familiar, and it's true.
I mean, look around. We've got misinformation spreading like wildfire, people retreating into their own echo chambers, and it's like everyone's just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And that's the thing, right? That fear, that uncertainty, it creates this perfect breeding ground for someone like Yates to step in.
Oh, 100%. He feeds off that fear, that distrust, and twists it to his advantage.
Makes you wonder, what would it take for something like that to happen here? Like, really happen?
Well, that's the question Actor America forces us to confront, isn't it? It's a cautionary tale, for sure, but it's also a call to action.
Okay, I like that. A call to action. What does that look like?
It means being more than just a passive observer. We can't just sit back and hope for the best. We have to be actively engaged in protecting the things we value.
So, like, not just tweeting about it.
Well, speaking truth to power takes many forms. But it starts with being informed, engaging in thoughtful dialogue, and holding our elected officials accountable. It means building bridges instead of walls, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like After America shows us the worst case scenario.
Exactly. It's a stark reminder of what's at stake.
And it's up to us to make sure that fiction doesn't become reality.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So to everyone listening, remember, stay curious, stay informed, but most importantly, stay engaged. This is The Deep Dive signing off.